The Environmental Protection Agency (EPA) has shut down the smelting line of United Steel Company for breaching air pollution regulations. EPA had earlier given the steel manufacturing firm till the 31st of January this year to install air pollutant systems to minimize pollution of the atmosphere. But on a visit to the manufacturing site by officials of the EPA and some national security operatives, it was clear United Steel had not met the deadline. Charles Aite has more in this report.
The smelting site of United Steel follows months of concerns over air pollution in the area. Officials from the Environmental Protection Agency (EPA), the National Disaster Management Organization (NADMO), and the National Security, as well as the Free Zones Enclave, inspected the smelting plant of the company, which showed not much has been done to install pollution control systems. After the inspection exercise, management of United Steel met with officials of the EPA on progress made so far in ensuring environmental safety.
Big hoods fix it in opposite of the fans, of the furnaces. And then I will show you, this is how it will connect it to the roof and then to the system. Now, when I will fix it, there is a big fan coming now in the container. It will suck all the smoke coming from the furnaces to the fan, and the fan will push it to the chimney.
At the end, Deputy Executive Director of the EPA, Ebenezer K. Apasampon, directed the steel factory to halt smelting steel until the pollution control system is fixed.
The directive is that they shut that aspect of the operation which is polluting, not the entire factory, because there are other aspects which is not polluting, and then install the pollution control system. When they are ready, they can invite us to come and see, and then we can reopen it. So that's the directive. And they would require that they comply with it. Failure to do so, we have to look at what remedies we have at our disposal. So basically, that is the we are here with all the institutions, and we will have to work with them to ensure that there's compliance with the directive. The national security is here, NADMO is here. We are also here. Our regional office is here. We expect that we don't have to come in and enforce it. They will have to comply.
From United Steel, the team inspected works at Ryder Steel. Here, it was clear much has been done to check air pollution within the Free Zones Enclave. Moving forward, the EPA says it will be intensifying surveillance on several steel manufacturing firms here in the country, especially when matters regarding pollution has been on the top of the agenda since last year. I'm Charles Aite reporting for Joy Business.
Now, the Ghana Union of Traders Association (GUTA) has called on government to review interest rates to make local businesses competitive as the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement begins this year. They believe it will encourage local traders to enhance their production and to be able to rub shoulders with their other counterparts on the African continent. General Secretary of GUTA, Daniel Owahene Champong, tells Love Business Ghana will lose out to the benefits of the Free Trade Area Agreement if interest rates are not rationalized. Prince Apia has more in this report.
The Free Trade Area will provide a bigger market space for local production in various African countries. Industry players say interest rates among member countries puts Ghanaian traders at a disadvantage. General Secretary of Ghana Union of Traders in the region, Daniel Owahene Champong, tells Love Business Ghana will lose out on the benefits of the free trade until the issue is addressed.
The African free trade area, we have so many problems that we have to sit down and then analyze them well before it can come into operation. Because when you consider the interest rates, that is the other member states charge. For instance, Cote d'Ivoire, they charge around 4.5 interest rate per annum. Nigeria is charging about 13.5 interest rate per annum. And as we citizens in Ghana, we have challenges with our interest rates. Banks are charging interest rate from 25% to 28% per annum. And when you have such people that you are trading with, it gives you, it puts you at a disadvantage. You will not have the leverage to, compete with them as it should be.
Meanwhile, Ghana is being charged to find its competitive edge from raw materials available for export. Philbert Johnson is Director in charge of Africa and Regional Integration at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. He has been speaking to Love Business on the sidelines of the ECOWAS revaluation program in the Ashanti region.
We need then to devise a strategy based on our comparative advantage, the advantages in our country. And already we know that government is implementing a host of policies. For example, planting for food and jobs, industrialization policy. How can we use the raw materials and the human resource we have here to create products for exports abroad? And we need to look at available sources of markets, and we need to establish the network for that trade.
The National Consultation Workshop for the Evaluation of ECOWAS Vision 2020 was held in Bekwai in the Ashanti region.
Our outfit, in cooperation with ECOWAS, is going round to have deliberations with community citizens in assessing the ECOWAS Vision 2020, evaluating it with a view to collecting the perceptions and the ideas of community citizens as building blocks for the vision beyond 2020.
The exercise will continue in various parts of the country to collect ideas on how to design a new vision beyond 2020 for the ECOWAS. Prince Apia reporting.
Let's turn our attention to one of our top stories. International media and research organization Bloomberg is rating the Ghana cedi as the best performing currency in the world against the United States dollar this year. It is also projecting a stronger currency as investors await a Eurobond sale soon. According to Bloomberg, the cedi has strengthened 3.9% in 2020, the most among more than 140 currencies tracked by the company. The strengthening of the cedi is said to be a remarkable turnaround from last year when it unusually weakened by almost 13%. Economist with data bank Courage Multi tells Joy Business the situation is largely due to the central bank's policies in the FX space, as well as the prospects of closing the Eurobond issue very soon.
Market expectations were a bit more, I would say, conservative than this level of bullish performance that we are seeing from the cedi. And so I would say, and largely because this year is supposed to be an election year, first quarter seasonalities were also factored into market expectations. And so we generally on the market felt that this year might be a dicey one for the cedi, especially given how it ended last year, with a lot of pressure towards the end of the year. But the way it has started the year had been quite better than expected and quite impressive. But this again has its roots in a number of interventions, favorable interventions that we are seeing on the market, and I could go on and rate some of them. First of all, we are seeing consistent spot market interventions from the central bank. And what I mean by that is that the central bank is consistently selling some level of FX on the market, on the spot market specifically, to those who really need the physical cash now and today, and that is helping the supply side. Secondly, we've also seen the introduction of FX forward auctions, and that started since last year, but it has gained ground. And why it has even gained ground this year is that in the first quarter of this year, the central bank has signaled that it will be selling a higher volume of dollars per auction during the FX forward auctions, and that has also calmed the nerve of the market, because now we don't only have injections in the spot market, we also have supply support for the forward market. And the forward market intervention is very critical, because what it has done is that it has calmed the apprehension of people who would ordinarily have loved to hold the dollars, when they do not really need it now. But if you introduce a forward trading dimension to the market as we are seeing, people just need to agree on the rate for the future, not necessarily having the physical cash now, the physical dollars now. And that gets everyone easy and going about their businesses. And that has been a support for the market in recent times. To add to that, we also have seen some uptick in foreign investor interest on our market. And so we are seeing foreign investors flocking back onto our bonds market specifically. And that's also helping supply from foreign sources to boost up the market conditions.
Mentioning the bond market, what one would think the roadshow currently going on is trying to have some impact as far as the city is concerned. What would be your...
Absolutely, and this is what we call the news effect, and it's a positive news effect for the market because the market knows that a sizable amount of FX is about to flow in, and so given the current rates, we still have some more guarantee for the supply side. And so there's no need to panic, there's no need to halt, there's no need to speculate, and everyone is going about their business normally on the basis of this positive expectation of an inflow of about $3 billion to be issued.
All right, so we want to stay a little longer on this success story of the Ghana cedi as rated by Bloomberg, and I've been joined in the studio now by in-house researcher Philip Namfuri, who is going to do further analysis. But before he starts, we would like to hear from the central bank governor what exactly he said as he presented the MPC policy rate this year.
The Ghana cedi depreciated by 12.9% against the US dollar in 2019, compared with 8.4% depreciation in 2018. Against the British pound and the euro, the Ghana cedi cumulatively depreciated by 15.7 and 11.2% respectively, compared with 3.3 and 3.9% over the same period in 2018. By January 29, 2020, the Ghana cedi had recovered, appreciating by 0.3% compared with a depreciation of 2.5% in the same period of 2019. Provisional budget estimates from January to December 2019 indicated that total revenue and grants amounted to 52.97 billion Ghana cedis, compared with a projected target of 54.56 billion Ghana cedis. Total expenditures, including arrears clearance, was 67.6 billion Ghana cedis, below the target of 70.19 billion Ghana cedis. These developments resulted in an overall fiscal deficit on cash basis of 4.8% of GDP, slightly above the target of 4.7% of GDP, but below the 5% fiscal rule. In line with these developments, the provisional estimates indicate that the stock of public debt rose to 62.1% of GDP at the end.
All right, so that was Dr. Ernest Addison at the MPC. All right, so let's get back to Philip.
Yeah, Emmanuel.
Good to see you as always.
Yeah, good to see you.
All right, so what exactly do you think has been causing this remarkable success as rated by the Bloomberg?
Okay, so a number of things are in the story, in the Bloomberg story, and I think I must commend our colleague Moses Jawu of Bloomberg, Ghana. And as we can see, currently we are doing 5.4022, and that's the cedi spot to the dollar. Now, if you look at the graph, if the graph can just be shown up for me a bit, you realize that as at from the top left corner, that's around 6th to 9th January, you realize that it seems as if it's been depreciating, but this is actually an appreciation of the currency. So don't mind the inverted nature of the graph. But we started off at around 5.7 Ghana cedis to the US dollar, and we've recovered, and currently just where it is as at 4th February, that's today, we're at 5.45 Ghana cedis.
You know, I was asking earlier whether, you know, this particular coronavirus thing has a role to play in this, because it looks like traders are now, or traders who used to apply the China rules are now withholding their cash. So
that's what we are learning, Emmanuel. But I always say there's a problem of data in our country. So the exact numbers in terms of FX demand by these traders who would have otherwise demanded goods and services if there was no coronavirus, it's not easily available to me. Okay. So I'll be circumspect in that regard. However, you realize that normally in this time of the year, there's a high demand for the currency, the foreign currency. Remember last year around this time, from January to March, the first quarter, the CD depreciated rapidly. And that was because of the IMF prior condition that we were made to understand. But it seems, listening to what Karismati said of Data Bank, the central bank's monetary policy stance, keeping the rate at 16%, has a role to play in there. So there are a multiplicity of factors, both domestic and external. If you look at the external front, you realize that the Federal Reserve of United States of America, that's like their central bank, has kept its rates on hold for some time. If there was a rate drop, then we would see more or less, all things being equal, a weakening of the US dollar. If there was an increase, there will be a strengthening of the US dollar. Okay. This coronavirus also has brought certain things in its wake, which one way or the other affect the dynamics of the foreign exchange market, both locally and externally. So there are a number of things
now,
in there.
I would always use the word remarkable performance because out of 140 countries, currencies tracked, we came up tops. How can we sustain, or is this particular feat sustainable?
That's the main issue, because this is we've just done about 1 month and 4 days of a second month. There's a whole 11 months to go for the year. There are demand pressures coming in. However, there are some inflows. We're talking about this Eurobond issue, yes, 3 billion worth of it. That's if it all goes through. Then we also have the cocoa indicator loan sometime in the year. So all these are inflows that we need to be cognizant of. At the same time, we also have demand pressures in the country. We must also be cognizant of this. At the same time, we must also keep our eyes glued to what's happening in the international markets. We're just coming out of a slow growth in 2009, the slowest since the 2008 financial crisis. The IMF, etc., World Bank are predicting a pickup in growth. Was this pickup in growth going to strengthen the US dollar, which is going to have an impact on us? Will the coronavirus and all of that tensions in the world have an impact on the US dollar as the main currency being used for international transactions? We must keep our eyes glued on this. So I would say let's just monitor the developments, but for now it's good, but it's just a short period.
One other important thing is, are we restructuring our economy for now? Because that has also come up, prominently in various platforms, various discourses. Are we restructuring our economy?
That's a billion-dollar question. I'll throw back to you. You are way older than me. Have you seen any restructuring in our economy since you were a child to date?
Well, it looks like some efforts have been made.
Some efforts are being made, and we must sustain these efforts, or else we will come back to these issues. And if there's a slump in demand for some of these commodities we so export because of the coronavirus fears, then that will impact the FX inflows we'll get into the country. So you see, there are a lot of issues we need to weigh here. But for now, let's just keep our eyes peeled and let us enjoy with some good drinks whilst we enjoy our appreciation of this.
Thank you very much. Philip Namfuri is our in-house researcher. We've been talking about the latest rating by Bloomberg agency about Ghana's cedi being the best performing currency among 140 countries globally. Away from that, the debate on who exactly in Ghana allegedly received bribes from aircraft manufacturing company Airbus rages on. Former Minister of Finance Setekwe has broken his silence over what role the Finance Ministry played in the purchase of Airbus aircraft for Ghana's military. Europe's largest aircraft manufacturer was ordered to pay some 3 billion euros as fines after admitting to pay huge bribes to land contracts in 20 countries, including Ghana. The bribe was intended to obtain or retain business for advantage in the conduct of business for Airbus. But Setekwe, who spoke to Joy Business, has defended his government and the Finance Ministry in the bribery allegations.
I believe if my lawyer were here, he would ask me to, because the case has been referred to the prosecutor.
Special prosecutor?
The special prosecutor.
Yeah, but I mean, we just want to know, did it come to your attention?
No, of course. We dealt with the whole, okay, there is a smart borrowing debt management behind the scheme, which is not being discussed. Of course, I understand why. It's to do with peacekeeping funds. Ghana has been doing peacekeeping since time immemorial, Congo, right? And we are known maybe besides Pakistan and Canada, to be one of the top peacekeeping. These countries ring-fence the proceeds from the peacekeeping force to protect their troops with better gear, right? And also to be able to discharge their duties responsibly. So the context is this. We didn't even have aircrafts. They were old ones. So in ring-fencing the revenue, the same way we ring-fence airport tax, NPS, port dues, and others to support NPS, which is part of, we ring-fence, the peacekeeping funds. And realize that immediately you ring-fence, that you see, like ESLA and others, the power, of those funds. So we did a spreadsheet in 3 parts. The amount that will go to peacekeeping, priority, operations.
Operations, okay.
The amount that will go for overheads, both in Accra and the various stations. Once we have satisfied that, there was still some balance left, which was not being put in a consistent plan. It was spent annually. So with that amount of money, we realized we had enough funds, to buy military gear, including aircrafts, to improve the efficiency and protect our troops better. This is a contest, right? As far as the Ministry of Finance and what,
you did
about, yes.
In this
yes, I'm part of the administration, but I'm just explaining to complement,
Okay.
So I hear about maintenance. What happened to the structure? Because remember I said that we catered for operations. I hear about, the aircraft not being maintained properly and whatever, short landing and what.
That is not even the issue. The issue is...
No, it's a major issue. The Minister
will get to that separately.
Mentioned it.
Yeah, we'll go to that separately.
But remember that we do the financing, which we take to Finance Committee of Parliament for the borrowing. Because I was just explaining, ESLA, how the flows come in and you can borrow against it, like Terminal 3 and all that. So this was something that we had done, right? But when it comes to the physical aspect, right, of the contract, then it's a sector ministry.
Okay, so...
Because we don't have military tacticians and whatever.
Okay, so when it came to a contract to be able to acquire the aircraft...
As with all contracts, whether roads, whether military gear, whether defense, whether works and housing, you always prepare according to the rules. Finance, the finance agreement.
So the finance agreement is what you work on?
The works contract, Ministry of Defense.
Did you ever see the finance agreement between Ghana and Airbus?
No, we didn't do the finance agreement with Airbus.
Okay.
The finance agreement was with the banks that provided the borrowing.
The banks that are supposed to provide the borrowing.
Airbus was providing the aircraft. It's just like Sinopec.
Okay. So you're supposed to see to the due diligence and ensure that we are getting value for money.
Yes, of course. To make sure that yes, and to make sure that yes, that's the whole finance, anything to do with financing. But when it comes to the acquisition of the aircraft and whatever, it's just like a bridge contract. It's just like a road contract. It's just like the expertise lies in the sector ministries. So if you ask me, in general, this is what I can say, but I don't have enough information to go into the specifics. That one I'm not going to, because I have not been given anything, and I'm sure, as I said, I've dealt enough with these cases to know that you don't shoot your mouth when you don't have all the facts.
In discussion there. Away from that, with the implementation of the Continental Free Trade Agreement just months away, entrepreneurs in Africa have been challenged to be prepared for the business opportunities associated or risks losing out in the end. In this light, Karen Ham International will be organizing the maiden edition of the African Goods Summit, which seeks to equip entrepreneurs and business leaders with effective strategies to continuously grow competition. Convener of the summit, Karen Ham, has been speaking to Joy Business.
The African Goods Summit is an event that has been designed for business leaders, founders, C-suite executives, and anybody who is in a position where they make decisions that determines the direction and the growth of a company. The conference is not being pitched only for the Ghanaian entrepreneur. I'm targeting businesses across Africa. Okay. Now, the this has become necessary because the African Union has come up with an open borders policy, which is the African Continental Free Trade Area, and which is a blessing. But I feel that if you are not careful and you don't know what to do with it, it could easily become a curse as well. So the concept of this event is to ensure that the businesses that attend the event are ready and they know what the whole thing is about, how it's going to affect their business, whether some countries are going to benefit more than other countries, whether it's going to have a detrimental effect on their business, or whether it will actually help them to also increase the sizes and the profitability of their business.
And that'll be it for this edition of the Marketplace. Many thanks for watching. For more business news, log on to myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Emmanuel Apuaji. Have a good day.